who is coming out swinging here between these two teams? Is it going to be G2? Is it going to be Heroic? Who's had the better off-season? Well, G2 had a major, so not the most time to prepare. Whereas Heroic had all that time off to trial their new players. Work on new things. Strategies.
All right. Villa. Hey, do you remember when we were here with G2 and they ran a blitz?
Yeah, I remember that was one of those games that didn't really go G2's way before they turned everything around. The blitz rush was kind of odd because there was no one there to back them up. So I hope that if we see a similar kind of strategy to come down this time, they have learned.
Good late, have fun.
I mean, they're about to start now. From now on, their actual enemies are going to be starting to shoot at each other. So it's as good timing as ever.
All right, Heroic. What's the change of pace? Obviously, Doom and Mellow. Pronounced like Nello, but for Mellow.
So an M instead of an N, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Easy to remember for all you kooky kids at home. Look at this. Hot droned in by the hottest drone around. The swing round. Can't quite get the swing onto the shield itself. Worried about the hole. Just held at the top of the corner above them. There was a chance and an opportunity. And I think there's a little bit of a breathing room there from G2. Doki wants to lean back into it. There wasn't always the full sign-off on whether he'd be playing today based on an intense team-building bowling incident that happened yesterday, but he's here with a slightly damaged hand.
June will be taken out first, though. The RC pushes up, and that allows Benji to find Doki. 1-for-1 trade, but the main stair is now under control for Heroic, and it's starting to push through as well. Study is going to be the next target they look to aim for. A lot of angles being created here. A lot of lines aside, but Blur will come out on top. Will find Benji, shut him down. Make sure he cannot find any more, but then goes a bit too aggressive and will be shut down by Uno.
Now they found themselves in a 3 versus 3 very quickly here. An aggressive take on the stair set, and there's Mellow trying to drive themselves through with Finker, still with some utility, but obviously slight difference in terms of the gun that goes in hand. Grizzly, he's going for a bit of a rotate round as Uno takes control of the top of the stair set and leaves the air jab for the cover on the rotation. 2 canisters popped, kind of either side, and early on, Alamau as well still has the C4 in pocket, so they have some utility alongside the throwable of Citizen 2. It's a bit of a hold. The drones slowly reconfiguring themselves, getting a better taste and idea. All the players seem to be stuck inside the site. They're locked in, but there's nobody currently holding on to the red door on the opposite side for a swing out.
Archef still being set up. The rappel in comes from 90, so Heroic has circled the site. All they need now is a single entry to at least start things off. Alamau's looking to go a bit aggressive, but the airdrop will keep him at bay. He's not going to be able to completely step out that door. And as Mello and Uno now try to push through, it seems like they might aim for a bar plant.
Well, here's the chance. Virtue holding on, gets dropped by Grizzly. The swing around and the cover, the 3 versus 1. Mello leads through across the head. Alamau, all that's left. No C4 left, trying to get the catch on the loose player. They've got themselves tucked behind the bar. The plant has gone down. Alamau's put himself in a pretty tricky situation here. The 3 versus 1. The spray around towards the first. Can't quite get the tip and the tuck. Round to the opposite. Gets the drop down onto Uno. 30 seconds, 2 more players for them to try and encroach and put the pressure onto now. They're looking for the swing onto the breach. This is a very good hold from Heroic. They're doing just enough to make their presence known as a bit of the fight. There's the shotgun ready, but it can't quite get the connection, and Heroic take the first round.
Hope to get the injured there onto the floors, but still walking, so Heroic will be taking that one. Not completely comfortable, but it's a plan down. It's a 3v1, eventually a 2v1 win they have there. So a great first attacking round for them. Now needing to hold on. Start with the RC Rotero coming in on the main stairs. Doki falling that early on as he tried to rotate out. It gives away so much free space to the rest of Heroic. The main stairs falls, the classical hall is suddenly under your control as well. You can start putting down the pressure onto Study at the very same time. And basically half your side has already been circled by presence of Heroic just by losing out on Doki there. So well played, getting the RC in place, and for Benja as well to follow that one up quickly with the R4C hoping to hunt down that kill.
Wow, that's a bit of an opener here. Heroic, they're able to kind of put a lot of early pressure on. And it was one of the big questions, obviously, when they lost the faces that they had. is sort of that big changing of the guards from the side of Heroic. It's the first time we've sort of seen the roster flip over to what has become new generation Heroic at more of a sort of stronger structure. Obviously, Sloth and Gorgona were two of the bodies that got them up here alongside Grizzly. And then it's been that sort of change from the very early days to where they're at now. Jum and Mellow, there's probably a lot of pressure onto those two shoulders, maybe more so than obviously Blur, who's had his experience here on Tier 1 before.
Yeah, of course, Blur, he's been playing in Navi for a couple of years now, whereas Jim, for example, you can basically put him in the same area as Spoid and Benja. He's one of those young gunners that was underage for a very long time, waiting for a shot at Tier 1. And whilst it might have come quicker for the other two, he's now finding himself in Heroic with Benja to see if he can make the difference there. And we know he's a very skilled player. We saw that in FBL, for example, back when he was active around there, in GSA and also other national leagues that he competed in. And now has a shot at Tier 1 at the European League, as Heroic is slowly starting to get themselves around the map, around the side, looking to take some control. It's Doki that is still out and about on the row. Might have just been spotted by a drone there, and he realized that as he falls back.
Well, this could be Benja on the hunt. He's waiting to see if he can get the tail end of that. More calls, more confirmation of the player, and a creep up, but the Banshee suddenly gives the game away. If that's heard, that could be disastrous for Benja. Here's the catch, and it's an easy one put together there. Lucky that nobody else was too able to pick up the call of the Banshee. They get that early take, and Doki, 2 rounds, 2 deaths, no bodies of his own.
It's going to be RC Retiro that almost managed to take down Elam out there. I believe he might have been on his camp for a second, but moved out in time. So nothing really to worry about. But that's verticality being opened up. That means that mirror window will soon be under fire if the bottom floor falls in control of Heroic. Doesn't seem like they were paying too much attention to it now. However, Uno from the master bedroom balcony looking to push in some utility. Also playing on those drones, feeding information out to the rest of Heroic. We're looking to make this a lateral take rather than going from below, from using any nades, for example. As I was saying, of course, Jum is about to be tossing one in. It gets taken out by Elamar before he hits it.
Well, there it is, sprayed and Scrappy over the top. Blur suffers in the midst of it with Alamau already removed too. It's a 2 versus 4 at this point, and Benja's still trying to find his way through the side. Hits the fake lady, and then almost followed up by the real one behind it. But Uno's going to stick the kit in the meantime. Late Claymore, played and planted just on the door, makes things a little bit more awkward. Another spray through, but the plant is down. And that's that big blow of a moment here. They're just going to have to try and drive through. Citizen is removed. Benja, he's looking for his 4th, but it's the Claymore. They got the end of 1, and Heroic, they have a lot of energy here.
They do have a lot of energy. They have those first 2 rounds in pocket here. It's a great start for them, and they definitely want to be building on the top of this. As the dining and kitchen, a tertiary side is about to be brought out from G2, who are still looking for success in Stage 3. We can recap that story as well. They made it to Berlin on a miracle run. I believe it was they were 1-4, and after that they went on to a win streak, winning every single remaining matchup, making it to the major somehow, and finding themselves out of groups, which basically confirms them for 6 Invitational if they even pick up some SI points throughout the stage. Heroic, they need a bit more. They basically need to go to the major due to missing out on the last stage in unfortunate fashion that they did. So they'd be more than hungry to try and take a full point victory here against G2, who they probably expect will be one of the contesters for that major spot throughout this stage.
Okay, Heroic, twice in a row, and I said at the very beginning of the game I'm going to generally have a couple more opinions and a couple more questions about what you're going to do here, and so far you've definitely answered them. I know Fabian obviously had the pleasure of working a couple of splits with him, and I know that he'll be paying keen attention to this. A game against somebody who was a battle around that 4th place. It's not too far back of a throwback to remember that Heroic were one of the teams that G2 were able to leapfrog to get themselves towards the major, where they put in such a great performance to find themselves scarpering under the pressure of the new Heroic roster on the opening day. Could turn into a bit of a blow. There's Mellow once again. There's Doom inside the site. Look at this, Heroic flooded their way through, took entire control of it. G2 scrambling, trying to pull themselves back together here. Doki locked out the door here, wants to swing onto China, but cannot quite get the true connection. They're putting the kit down, but Blur puts the player down from the second floor. Still has the vertical, and that's the risk when you throw yourself this deep into the site this early. They're going for the recollection of it, but they know it's potentially going to be watched, so they pick it up, move somewhere else, hope that they can tuck behind the other chassis, but they still seem a little bit unsure now of where the G2 players are.
Also have no idea if there's still any impacts or explosives they can use to create new angles. Doki, in the meantime, coming around towards Memorial will be picked up. Benja will find that kill. Alaman now locked off as well from the pantry stairs, leaving it only up to Blur. He will find one. He needs to find 3 more if he wants to clutch this out, but he will not find any. And that is going to be another round here for Heroic. That might actually mean a tactical timeout might be upon us here, and you see it in the top right of your screen. Timeout requested by G2 ESPORTS. There is some stuff to talk about there. Heroic, they perfectly realized, hey, you for sure will.
That's the talk. That's the time. Now it's time to see if they can try and bring it together. Obviously, as you said, they are in a position here where they're all together. They've been scrimming, they've been boot camping, they've been trying to get themselves in a good headspace because this is a good opportunity. G2 had a good run. There's no denying it. They went from a Cinderella story, no doubt about it. They lost the first 3 play days and then snuck their way in on a 4% chance to get to the major and then performed at the major.
Now, when we spoke to Doki Do in one of the Prep Phase podcasts we do, he said the eventual goal of G2 Esports was to make it to the 6th Invitational this year. They didn't have any set goals for majors or for wins at the majors. This was the first year of the roster. The goal was to make it to SI and then see how far they could go. They've already been to 2 majors, and, you know, they have the opportunity this stage to find themselves to a 3rd and qualify themselves to the 6th Invitational. So it could be, by their own terms, a very successful year, even though people expect so much more from them. That's something to keep in account as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's basically G2 has other expectations than a lot of the fans do have.
Heroic. Yeah, I mean, if you can find yourself a 4th here, threaded on your attack straight after G2's timeout, that could be a blow, but I think the biggest one is currently seeing the big O next to Doki and Citizen. Obviously, that was a sort of dream team duo that led G2 into more of a sort of statement of prominence. They were, for a lot of people, the reason that the roster came in. It's not that Alamao, Prano, and Virtue weren't able to put in steady performances, but it was the body putting down ability that has sort of been a bit shut down this game, none more so than I think Benja, although Mello is still yet to die.
I have to say though, Blur is so far pulling his way. The single kill per round is generally considered quite good, as he won't find a 4th, as he will be the first to fall. A grenade from underneath will find him as he steps right over it. There's no way that a Jaeger will be protecting you from these. As Jim tosses in a second grenade, it's Benja that will find another opening. G2 just falling apart right here as Virtue drops on the side. It's only up to Citizen now. He will find a single kill. He needs to find more, but the plans blocked his line of sight. And it's Mello that will be picking up that final kill. Heroic. 4-0.
I mean, yeah, he hasn't died yet, but he's also been threading kills. 6-0 at this point for the side of Mello, I believe. And then you've obviously got Benja around the same, but with the death, it has been phenomenal from the guns of Heroic on the approach here onto Villa. They have just been able to take these engagements. Benja the swing round there onto Doki. Doki swung into the fight and then just couldn't connect the dots. It's some of the things that we don't usually see from them and from these players. There's usually a little bit more connection. There's not much you can do about this. The depth charges, although they have been nerfed, they are still present. You just have to be a lot more precise, and there was the follow-up.
I mean, we saw it on Chalet, right? On the player that was on the mezzanines next to the...
It's a reverse James Bond. 700.
Oh, it is the reverse James Bond.
Yeah, I mean...
It's kind of funny, though, because when we were at the pre-show, people were like, Demo and Fresh were talking about Mello, how he was like always middle of the pack where he played. He never was like that standout player. And if you look at him now, he's leading the charge together with Benja here for Heroic. So he's been put in a good environment, and suddenly he's allowed to shine right here. So hoping that we see a lot more from him throughout this stage. That's going to be a small peak, possibly.
Well, there goes the camera. Does he wait? Does he go? He tries to find somebody, but they didn't quite take that route through. That was dead this direct underneath.
Yeah, Heroic instead going from the other area down below. He's not going to be risking too much. Alamau on the roam this time instead of Doki is going to be finding the first engagement. Shuts down Ju, but he's being chased down. He needs to be careful. He's still engaging with the pistol right here. You might want to fall back as Doki comes in on the contact and will be able to find a kill of his own as well. And now suddenly it's a 5-on-3 for G2.
For the first time, G2 have that leg up. They have a bit of an advantage, and it's struck on the far side of the map. 2 players removed very quickly. A good read and response there from Doki to get the cover and protection for Alamau. He went pretty aggressive to secure that kill and took about half of his health in the process, but still necessary. Citizen suffers the wrong end of a grenade. I would assume that. No, it was just an explosion of another cause. We heard the sound and then saw his house drop.
So just quickly looking what it could be. I mean, it could be an RC Retiro that blew up near him, I guess. Something like that. Otherwise, he's in the basement. So is Benja, but Benja's about to be rotating up the red stairs here. So if there's any information on the side of G2 of his whereabouts, you might see Citizen go on a bit of a flank in a second just to shut down Benja. Now, that is going to be the information he needs. A Mozzie drone that will call out that spot, that location of Benja.
I guess, yeah, maybe it was the impact of his own feet to rotate and just took the full damage. Grizzly takes even more Virtue. Takes care of them. Benja a little bit later and getting rid of the Banshee. They is able to find the head of Doki, though. In a great swing round, you can see Citizens going for a hefty rotate. There is Blur, getting one more, leaving just Benja. Mellow finally removed from the board in a round. 7-1 is a hell of an opening inning here. Benja, can you try and make it an even more impressive one? Drops for the rotate, tries to loop his way back round to utilize one of these grenades from underneath, but doesn't quite get the full knock. Benja suffers an explosion of his own.
This is so far not going anywhere. 45 seconds still. It's going to be sludging through. That is going to be the call for Blur, but he stays put. He's not going too aggressive. He's learned from the M&M game. You don't want to go too aggressive, and instead it's Citizen from above that will be shutting him down. So, well done there by the side of G2. Able to play off contact down there. Alamau on that roam, Doki from the main stairs, they find 2 entry kills, and suddenly they find themselves a defensive round. However, you got to be worrying now. Is it too little too late, considering how the first half has gone so far? Heroic already on to 4 rounds, looking to find their 5th still.
I swear I'm just hearing explosions.
You just hearing explosions?
I'm trying to piece together, because there when he was holding the grenade,
yes,
there was a grenade. It didn't explode yet, and he still had all their impacts. The only thing, again, I can think of maybe there was a Flores drone caught in a mute trap, but I definitely heard an explosion from underneath, and I saw... I don't know.
I mean the one that Benja tossed in last?
No, just before that. Maybe I'm just losing it. Maybe it's the excitement of the new season.
I mean, I'm just trying to piece together which
I would need to,
you heard.
I would need to run it back and,
we didn't see.
And be like, am I hearing noises?
Maybe we hear beeps as well randomly.
Have I finally lost it? Is production messing with me?
I heard the beeps during the first game in multiple rounds, so
yeah.
I don't know what the beeps are.
They're the fun beeps.
We don't hear the beeps now. We didn't hear it during the technical timeout.
Production just does this stuff just to mess with us, keep us on our toes, or make us think we're losing it. 4-1. G2 take their first round. They can try and get a second before the turn of the half. They've used their tech timeout. They probably desperately need it, if to just buy themselves a little bit more pace into this game.
No suppressors actually on the side of Heroic. Just wanted to quickly point that out. It's still like some teams run it, some teams really don't. It's slowly starting to get themselves into the meta. It's also personal preference, of course. This Heroic pushes through. They try and get some information on that top floor, on stat tree, on trophy, before they start pushing through. Of course, there is going to be some G2 players around, and you need to be careful here. You do not want to feed him another double entry. As Bench is the first one in the building, actually has some pings on concrete. That's a light up! He finds them both with the R4C. That gun is back as well. There's no debating about it. And that is G2 suddenly 2 men down very quickly here in a 1-5. It's looking like it might come through soon if it wasn't for Citizen finding Benja.
Oh, Melu's hunting the pulse as well. They're both trying to scan each other. That's not going to catch them out. What a moment there for Benja to capitalize. 10-3. He's having a heck of a game. Obviously, Citizen's able to shut him out, get some stop on the bleed. that is Benja pushing himself through the approach here. They're trying to get the control of the verticality. Remember the last time here, they went quick into the site and then they lost one, but they were still able to take out the round. A slightly different take because they realized more attention was being paid inside the site itself, but still, the pace, the spray through, cannot quite get the full connection. Citizen goes down. Grizzly kills Uno in the mess of it and then finds the end of Citizen. Alamau's going to see if he can get to the second story, but he's watched. Grizzly is able to make up for the one of his own. Mello gets it, and it's a 5-1/2 for Heroic.
And that is very commanding, this lead that they have right now. Going over to the defense as well, Heroic. You could almost say it's their game to lose at this point, but there's two sides to the game of Siege. And whereas Heroic was just as dominant on their attack, we might see that change as we speak, as G2 now heads onto their attack. They have been working together, they have been developing themselves. And now with the God Emperor, as he dubbed himself with his crown earlier today, behind him, surely there is going to be some improvement. The lineup.
I mean, you know, when you wait for a bust and two come along at once.
He wanted to pick up Blur, right? And then Doki just runs right in front of it, and it's like, I guess I take both then. You don't hear him complaining about it. Definitely not Heroic. More than happy to pick up two like that.
Okay, G2. Time to have a bit of a tough test. Heroic, they don't just have the ball, they have the game and everything going. At two players between them are 18-4 currently. And that is a terrifying statistic in a game where you've built yourself on the sort of possibility of your guns. They just are not connecting or firing in the same manner. And that's a sort of part of this game that reflects on either side, regardless of whether you're on the mantle of putting the pressure on or being the receiver of the other end of it.
Well, you're talking about Benja and Mello combined on 18 kills. The entirety of G2 is currently on 14 kills, so they're severely lacking behind in killing the opposing team members here. So they need to step that up. And whilst they're on the attack right now, it means that they have the initiative. There's going to be some EMP tossed out from Blur, allowing this breach to happen from the pantry. A long line of sight can now be engaged on towards the exit of China, which basically makes the entire kitchen unplayable and forces them back towards dining and other areas around the site.
Heroic have often been described as a bit of an all-or-nothing team. Even in their sort of previous setups, they'll either take a game by the reins or it'll entirely slip away from them. So it's, again, another tricky test here to see if that is something that might have changed with the new lineup here. But the test is on the side of G2. The pressure starts to come through onto Grizzly. He has the cover, he has some protection here from Benja. There's the attempt and the break towards the wall itself, the cover and the destruction, and Blur finds the head of Grizzly. Locked off on the far side with the quick hop in. Benja's suddenly quite isolated. He's going to try and find a route out, and it's through a player just on the side. No idea, no idea. Doki finds Mello as well.
Joom's still above though. Uno is finding himself locked in as well, but as Joom has a phone call ringing, it's Virtue that just will pick him up easily. The plant will go down and 45 seconds will soon be on the board. They have the entire kitchen under control. You have to remember that one. And as Uno uses the C4, 3 of them line up, but 2 of them come through the door. And G2 has a flawless round to start off their attack.
Well, they needed it, and a little bit more at that point. You can see now. I mean, we work with him. It takes a lot to get Fabian on his feet. And stress is one of those factors here. They find a bit of breathing room. And it was a very well put together attack there. The focus on the players. They had themselves in the position to catch them. There was a good thread that they were able to pull across the board. Heroic, not entirely caught sleeping, but I think they suddenly suffered the swing towards them rather than being the ones that could drive themselves through onto site. And to be fair, sometimes it really puts a magnifying glass onto the problems of when you don't have Benja or Mello to be able to lead the charge.
Yeah, they have been throughout the majority of this game. If you suddenly take them out of the equation, then Heroic would be pretty much on par with the rest of G2 if you look at the average kills coming through. Let's quickly say, though, we just saw Fabian smile after that flawless round there. It's a rare sight to behold, so definitely means that something went well there, and hard to argue, of course, with a flawless round to come through for G2. But they need to keep that up. They need to do that 3 more times to find themselves equal with Heroic, and then potentially 2 more to find themselves with a full 3-point victory. They know Heroic is going to be one of their contestants for a major spot, wherever that may be, so they need to make sure that they at least take a win here, and preferably with as many points as possible.
Will this fool anybody, Benja? Waiting and holding and hoping he can sort of duck himself. There's the sound of the rappel. They're tucked around onto a close corner. Just sees it drift a little bit too wide, but isn't going to stick around as the bait is taken on the far side. Jume's not going to see what else happens either. Instead just gets himself the route and the angle through. Virtue with the kit. Has the support. Again, G2. They're making sure the approach is one with multiple sides.
You need to make sure you do not attack from just a single angle, because it's easy to shut down as a defender in that way. So G2 attacking from multiple angles, multiple areas on the map is definitely going to be in their favor. You will force Heroic to fall back that way as G2 is slowly looking to get themselves around that side. So as trophy stat tree is going to be the majority of G2's concern, you have Doki, and I believe that was Virtue around on the actual side on that balcony, looking to take study in their grasp.
Well, the drones have the flank covered for now. Citizen wants to find a route through as destruction steadily rains onto the site. Put some pressure onto a couple of the close swing angles, but you can see Heroics sort of pulling themselves back step by step. They handed over a lot of trophy statuary side. They're going to make sure that when it comes to a fight, they're still all swinging in a 5 versus 5, and Citizen, he's going to move into that free real estate that's opened up, wants to try and cut his way across red, sees the eye towards 90, droned ahead pretty steadily. And that'll give them a bit of a route through that mute jammer. Yeah, you're not going to quite find your way through there, unfortunately.
Grenade, however, would, but there is going to be some ficties to be shot out, so need to be careful there. I believe the mute jammer might have been taken care of. Mello will be the first to fall as well. On the other side of the map, that's a grenade from below, I believe, by Doki. So that is definitely going to be putting G2 in a good position, but Mello could be recovered.
I think the Twitch drone might have got caught by a grenade, and Grizzly, well, he gets caught by the next. The break's going to come through. Virtue gives them the swing onto Vault itself. But look to the left. They didn't quite see it.
That's some patience right there. That's Benja. He surely has seen Citizen right there. He's just waiting for the right time, and he's about to strike. 40 seconds left on the clock.
No way.
Waiting for more.
No
finds
way.
One. Finds not two. Citizen will be able to save him just in time. But Alabama's still downed.
There it is, the swing around the moment. There's the lock in Jume. He picks up the pieces, looks for the next fight, and puts some damage through, but pulls back to what he thinks is safety. They're either side of stock. Jume's tucked on the opposite side, waits for the approach. It's Virtue, and it's Virtue doing the job he did so well for G2 in their recent run. Uno, all that's left with 10 seconds, a slow creep up. They're going to get the plant down itself. They have the cover inside the site. They'll find out where the man is from that engagement, and now it's 2 versus 1 post-plant. Uno, he's got time to work with, but he doesn't really have much space. Tries to lean into the fight, doesn't want to let them get set up, and waits as they steadily go for the width. I think they've taken the rotate out of Vault, giving themselves as much strength as possible, as much stretch as possible. And there's the spray through. A long angle gets the down onto Virtue. There's the Flores drone. They're looking for the fight, and they just pull back. Blur's not going to stick around. He knows this is a moment he can sort of clutch it out. There's only a pocket full of seconds left. Does he know he gets the down? He doesn't know where the player went at this point. Blur just needs to sort of show up. There it is, but he's done enough. And Blur paid and paced himself perfectly, but Heroic cannot quite get the lock in. And there is it.
Well played by Blur there, winning the round eventually for G2. Decided to not go for a swing, decided to play passive and fall back instead. It's a art to know when to do that as well.
Yep, sorry, from the side of Jume.
It was a good flank. It's just a shame he unfortunately wasn't able to quite connect to the second player out there, or unaware of the fact that Citizen was already that close to the actual side door, because if that information could have gone through, he would have never have gone for such a swing and would have just waited for Citizen to go for him instead. As we won't see it on the replay, but we'll see the timer about to be running out, because at this point, if you take the gunfight, there's no way back. And all Blur had to do was just show himself. Waste just enough time. Be enough of a threat that Uno has to get off of that diffuser. Or counter diffuser, really.
It was a time. A whole second.
A whole second.
Whole second was left.
Now, G2 have managed to find themselves a second round on their attack. They need to find 2 more to find themselves equal with Heroic. But that's not going to be enough for them. They want to win this one, and that will require, well, either 3 more rounds to go for OT confirmed, or to fight 4, and thus a flawless half on your attack.
I think that's it. What we're seeing here from G2 is really, really sort of... Okay, that last one in terms of time was a bit to the wire and came down to some of the gun skill we talked about before, not quite getting that on their defense half. But the thread and the route that they're taking against this heroic hold, and the defense is very well rehearsed. It's very well put together. It's one of the things that people have been critical about on this sort of G2 roster on the previous split, was their attacks didn't quite have that meat, didn't quite have the structure, and it seems like that's something they've taken a bit to heart. Heroic, they're trying to batten down the door before the approach comes through. They've hopped their way in. Alamau, he was looking for an early strike, but just misses all of the bodies as no body is left to be found.
The calls are coming through, and that will force Heroic to fall back. But it's early ground taken by G2 as a result. Unfortunately, not a kill that they were looking for as they entered from 3 different parts of the building at the very same time. But at least they don't have to fight to take it under their own control. And that has them a way into the building, because in Villa, getting into the building is also kind of hard. You look at Study, for example. There's a window, there's a door, but it's being looked at directly from the side. There's a bit of an aggressive swing came by from Mello, takes a bit of damage, but dealt more to Doki than he got himself.
It was a very aggressive position there. He sort of read what was happening and wanted to just try and put the fear in. That shotgun can remove a player at that range and has done many times before. Didn't quite get the full bite of Doki, but did enough. Leave him pretty heftily injured, have to drop out and pull himself to a new location. Citizen, he's once again trying to find his way across the other side, the split across the building, and they've got themselves stacked up. No loose Benja this time round, at least for now. It's going to have to be something that they have, but not in the same place he was before, is what I mean.
Well, it's Joom actually this time, who's on the loose. We have 4 players on the side, Joom below, looking to make the flank happen this time. So that is going to be crucial. As Blur is the first one to be picked up, we'll find him. That is going to be the ERC Retiros out of play right now. And one member less to worry about on the side of G2.
You can see they've gone a bit hunting there, and the smoke's just going to keep Doki at bay, especially with the sliver of health that he has. Citizen wants to try and find Joom, but Joom is just generally keeping himself a little bit too busy, and there's no more calls to force the audio. The grenades, they're going to start their roll from underneath. They're trying to find the ping down towards the side they think people are. Nobody is currently home. There was a Vault player that got a little bit close, but again, you're finding them sort of lost. There's Joom on the rotate, Grizzly with the lockdown, the cold kit on the far side of red stairs. Citizen suffers, down Brown, and Zuno getting one more connection, and there is a flawless for Heroic. They find themselves on map point. They've guaranteed a point, but we know what this roster's gone through in terms of not getting to majors. We know how important it is to take the full 3.
And especially against G2, that will be a 6-point game that we talk about. That is going to be giving you, first of all, round differential is going to be giving you these extra points, which is going to be the first decision maker. And Heroic, after missing out on Berlin, after Playday 3, we said, oh yeah, surely it's going to be Rogue and Heroic that will be making it through. That's what we said back then, and then Heroic somehow missed out. So they want to prevent that. They need to start off strong, and they need to continue that. And a win against G2 here would definitely be the way to do so.
Okay, Heroic, can you push it over the line at this point? G2, you've got to make a perfect rotation of attacks. You'll find yourself in new territory, and we'll find ourselves in Rally Tread territory here on this side. Maybe the least played in terms of the current comp pool's map selection. In terms of sites that we see, it's very rare. There was only ever really a couple of teams that would ever bring it out, and then it was a surprise pocket strat. Attacker Repick came along, and even then it didn't have an option.
I still remember the Amarus up the hatch on this particular site. So it's reinforced for a reason. You might be wondering why that would have been the case. That is just to stop any quick lady with a grappling hook to make its way in. So with that, G2, they need to be attacking a side that generally is not played often. And that means there might be a lack of practice on approaching this side. So if Heroic has been scrimming, has been practicing this on their defense, that might be working out wonders for them.
All right, that is it, though. They've taken a bit of a risk. They're holding a close window here. Joom, ooh, just covered by the debris. Doesn't quite see the side. Valamau is making a lot of noise, but it's Alliance. They're going to make a lot more as this round can progress for them. A steady approach here over the top. I guess we'll see and learn how quickly they think it's this site and where they might be able to put their attention to. You can see they're going for a pretty wide approach here. They've got the pressure onto Mello across the side of Study with the Yossa. They're looking at a route through, and Mello is realizing just how much pressure is coming through to him, watching the hatch. towards Art, hoping that they just sort of twiddle their thumbs and slip their way in, but Doki's just causing problems for now.
Yeah, definitely so. Doki just causing some problems. Melo, however, has been unseen so far, I believe. I don't think they actually know he's playing in that corner. Otherwise, you would be quickly able to dispatch of him from the actual window. So as Blur holds the actual doorway from study towards the site, is Melo still hiding in that corner? And that could come in to just completely decide the game if he continues to go unspotted.
There's the spray through. Melo takes the drop. He rotates out of there. You can sort of see that G2's paying some attention elsewhere, and Doom now stacked up here has bought Melo the route out. There's a spray through.
The trade.
Locked out. Yep, traded off. There was another player there that sort of put some bullets over the bow, but they took each other out. And now Citizen, he wants to knock his door right onto the side of the site itself. It's Benja finding Blur, though. Doki gets some revenge, and Citizen's able to find Uno inside the other side of the site. They're trying to flood their way through with the kit itself. Doki's got it in pocket, just tucked on the corner. Going to plant as close as he can to it and hope that Citizen has the cover. There's no real route or rotation through a post-plant situation. You can see Grizzlies looking for the damage to do from above. 2 versus 3 retake. In this sort of situation with some of the structure inside the site, you would favor G2 to be able to lock this out, but it wouldn't be the biggest surprise we've seen today.
I mean, there's no verticality. They need to take this laterally if they want to take back control on the heroic side. And, you know, time is slowly ticking down. They have about 16 seconds left if they want to start that defuse. And as Doom finds one, he needs to find 2 more. And within the given amount of time, he has about 5 more seconds to make it happen. And it's fair to say it will not. It's Virtue that will shut him down. And G2, they will live to fight another round as it's currently 6-4.
2 more rounds. 2 more rounds separate them from, well, anything at this point in time. They are playing in that sort of, not even all or nothing, but some in nothing. Doki's first ever plant in EUL.
Congratulations.
Take a photo. Put it in the Wikipedia.
You're now officially a Thermite main.
There were questions of, you know, obviously with the roster change, who's going to sort of step into that position. It turns out Doki.
Yeah. Doki's the one that is now playing coverage.
Yeah.
It's not something you would say.
I guess that's always one of the things as well. I know I said it earlier that the guns of Citizen and Doki firing were a big part of it, but it is worth sort of also throwing out. We don't know. That was one of the big question marks when, you know, I mean, we only found out the roster earlier today. I didn't know what and in that time, obviously, one of the big questions since earlier today when the roster was announced, how is this going to structure? How is this going to function? Blur isn't your sort of atypical support player, the same that they had before. He can play the role and has played the role, but what we've seen recently from him is great frag aim. We're still working out what this G2 is.
And I think they're working it out themselves as well, and it's very fair to repeat their own goal, which is to make 6 Invitational, not per se the majors. And, you know, by reaching 8th or 7th place throughout this stage, they will confirm themselves to do so. Almost confirm themselves to do so, 99.9%, which, you know, is pretty much confirmed. So, you know, they have this stage right now to try and figure themselves out. As long as they do reach that top 8, they will most likely be going over to the 6th Invitational. And if they have figured it out by then, well, who knows? They might make it in a deep run to the playoffs.
And they did a quick bit of destruction there onto, obviously, the supply side wall and those stairs. Uno might be about to make a friend up top, pings the destruction of the window itself. We could see Benja was holding the door around the bottom of Laundry, and well, there's the pressure coming across the top floor as well. They obviously have the choice to rotate out if they want. They've generally played themselves a little bit arms off, and that's what they've done. They've left all of the A site itself, pulled themselves back. Benja's underneath. They've got themselves structured around the side of the site. They have support because you can still keep a strong arm to it.
Now, Jum is on the roam right here around the AVG area, so Citizen needs to be quite careful here. I'm not quite sure if they know exactly where he is, and he's about to swing this corner. Jum, he's holding it tight from 90, looking to find something, but has been droned out, so this might turn the entire round around.
Was he?
He definitely was.
Yeah, he definitely was. There it is. Looks for the fight, finds the head. Citizen buried himself and covered it in the plant, but he still gets the connection. He needs the E1D, was timed perfectly alongside it as well. There's pings on a loose player. courtesy of Uno, but you can see once again G2, as I talked about before, this is one of the things that I've quite liked about their play today. They pick themselves up. Heroic's trying to find the thread. They're trying to find just where to lock themselves in, but it always seems a fresh corner as a fresh G2 problem at this point. Now tucked around close and looking for the plant. Hello! He comes his way right down the middle. They suffer because of it. Blur's going to see if he can stick the kid in the meantime. Grizzly, he's buried round on the corner of Solarium. He's got to fight onto the window, but it's Benja that gets the door. Citizens removed. Doki and Benja back and forth. Leaves just Doki as the only player left here as the one to try and clutch out this 2 versus 1. Even lower now, and well, 30 seconds. There's the call on where he is. There's the location. There's the push and the attempt at the pressure. They've pulled themselves back. The pre-fire on the angle and the pick back up of the kit. Will he hold it? Will he stick it? He's concerned about just the sort of loose spray. Apparently so. Benja's in the room though, and there it is. Heroic take 3 points off of G2 on the opening Playday. How much will it mean? Well, we know how it started last time for Heroic. We know how it started last time for G2, and we know how it ended for both of them. This isn't a test of a single day for these two teams. They're aware of it.
No, for sure. They need to continue this performance throughout the weeks, throughout the stage, to make sure they will make